First things first, Ellis, it must be happy, or you must be happy to just have it resolved. And there's been a lot of talk about your contract, a lot of talk about where you might end up. To have it secured and resolved must be a nice feeling personally.
Yeah. Genuinely, I was sort of going to the office and banging on the door,
Yeah.
and asking, look, are we going to get this over the line or not? Because I don't want to sound arrogant. I've got other offers, and I don't want to leave the club. The big question mark was obviously, do I go back home to Bristol or not? Because it is where I was born, and my family are asking me for me to come back. A lot of my friends were too, asking when I'm coming back. But obviously there were some discrepancies there that won't come out. And what I had to do was whittle it down and weigh it all up, which took me a long time. I even thought about going abroad, and being honest with you, it came down to what my old man sort of taught me when I was younger about loyalty and all those things, and then you sort of ask yourself, is there any loyalty left in sport? But Tigers is the club that I want to be at. When you break all that down, it's the place I want to be. I know we're not in a good state right now, and I do feel some onus on getting back to where we need to be. Because when I come here 3.5 years ago, we finished third, and apparently Cockers told me 8 people got the sack, and here we are sat at 11th, and I'm re-signing for another 2 years. So I'm happy to be staying at the club that I love.
When you talk about moving home and going home to be with family, just how difficult is it? I mean, people probably don't fully understand how hard it can be for a young guy. You're not old, are you? I mean, you're mid-20s, you moved away from home really young, early 20s. How hard is it actually for a young bloke to not just, want to go home? We all enjoy our mum's dinner and our beer with our old man. How hard is it for you personally?
It's been tough. Like, my sister's had a kid, and previously we haven't had a baby in the family for a long time, and my gorgeous little niece now, she was a blessing, and she's got another one on the way. So it's tough for me to have to sign another 2 years where I know that I'm not going to be able to see them every day or every other day. But at the same time, you've got to make these sacrifices in life. And although it might not seem it, the Tigers have made a fair few sacrifices for me in the past, keeping me out of trouble as well. And there's a lot of good leaders here who have helped shape me into the player I am today. And obviously, as you can probably see, as years have gone by, those leaders have sort of left, and still a few here. And I think these next 2 years is a time for me to step up and be a part of that.
Talk about the next 2 years, the last 2 years as well for you, as you grow and become an international, and you become a more senior figure in the squad. When you talked about that loyalty and that responsibility, is that part of that you feel an onus to the younger guys coming through as well, that you feel you owe them?
Yeah, I do. Like, it's not really a case now in the modern game. It's not really a case of young and old. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's if you're good enough, you're old enough, which is how it should be. I was given my chance at a relatively young age for a loosehead prop. I mean, I'm 24 now, and I made my debut 3.5 years ago, just over. And then you got boys like Tommy Rafael playing in the first team, the great players, and like he's got a voice in the team as well. It's good to see. I think it's been tough for the fans. I do really feel for them, because we have been shit for a length of time now. We haven't been great at all, nowhere near our best. And what a cliche, but the only way is up. It will be positive with time to come, and that's why I've re-signed. I wouldn't put pen to paper if I didn't believe that. It didn't take much convincing for me to believe that. It was more so a bit of a debacle financially, to be honest, which is obviously always in discretion. But like I said, Leicester's a club for me going forward, and I'm genuinely over the moon to be re-signing. If people knew or felt what we could feel in camp in here about how the team's going to build and how it's going to look going forward, then I doubt there'll be so many naysayers out there. But I suppose it's a feeling you get from within, isn't it?
Talk about that without giving away too much, without going into detail you don't want to go into. What positive steps have you seen over, I guess, the most recent summer? You were away for it at the World Cup, but you came back. There's been a fair amount of change, some physical, some just, I guess, atmospherically. But what positive steps have you seen that have helped you say, you know what, this is going in the right direction?
It's a word that's thrown about a lot in sport, and a lot of people will probably watch this and be like, he's talking shit. But the togetherness of the squad. Yeah. And like we always use that hashtag of like Tigers family and all that. And honestly, I hold my hands up. I questioned it a lot. Sometimes you have to challenge things for it to change. Yeah. You have to question things, and it is slowly moulding together. We're not the finished article. No, we're not saying that. We're 11th in the league at the moment. And I've signed another contract, and people might be thinking, well, why would you do that when Bristol were the top four and whoever else? But it's not about that anymore. What I needed, I went to the club and I said, listen, this is what I need for me to be able to take this next step with the club on my journey on a personal note. And hopefully I can help the club sort of get back to where it needs to be. Obviously, I'm a small piece to that puzzle. But I want to put my heart and soul into it, and for that to have happened, I needed certain things to happen away from the field, and it took a while, but we slowly got there.
What role do you see yourself having over the course of your next contract, or however long it may be that you're here? What role do you see yourself as in this team?
I want to be the guy that people can come to and talk to about their problems, whether it be on the field or off the field. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the squad now who are my friends who can come and speak to me about that. But I just want to help people out within the team, and I feel as though that creates that family environment that we talk about. And I just want to be able to, I want to be a motivator. I want to be giving the boys confidence to go out and play. So I'm guilty a lot myself. I'm not polished by any means. I still turn up late sometimes. I make mistakes. We're all human, and I think Geordie's very good at understanding that. Coming from a playing background, we got Boris Stankovic. I mean, I was late today, and Stanks pulled me about it, but I'll stand up. I'll take that on the chin. What people don't see is it's transitional. You look at football now, you've got Steven Gerrard coaching, you've got Frank Lampard coaching, you've got all these ex-players who are coming in fruition, and they're doing well. And people say about Geordie's not the man for the job and all this, but behind the scenes you've got Boris Stankovic doing the scrum, and look how the scrum's going. You've got Brett Deacon doing the line-out now, and the line-out's doing all right. It's easy to pick things apart, but if you could see the vision for the next few years and what's going to happen, then that's why I re-signed. And the role that I want within that squad, I want to be a part of it, firstly. It's why I re-signed. And secondly, I just want to be there for my mates. I just want that role of being a good friend, being a good teammate, and hopefully get some silverware.
You talked about Geordie, you mentioned him, and how much or how influential was your decision? I guess how influential was the decision in terms of following him and being led by him at the club?
I will say this now. It wasn't massive, but I can hand on heart say, before I went to Welford Road to sign my contract, the last member of staff at Leicester Tigers I spoke to was Geordie Murphy before I signed my contract. I went in there and I sat down with Murph and I said, listen, this is the problems that I'm having. This is the reasons that I wouldn't see myself at the club in the future, and these will be the reasons that I want to go back home. And he sat there and he said, Genji, I lived away from home. Well, he calls Leicester his home now, of course, but obviously being from Ireland, he lived away from home a lot longer than I have so far. And he said, I know it's tough. I know it's tough. And he reminded me of some of the values of the club that a lot of people question and seem to have forgot. And we're aware that it's not the Tigers of old. You always hear that saying, the Tigers of old and all that. That's fine, you can say that. It's a new generation of rugby now. It's the next generation. And we've got to make our own legacy. And yeah, Murph, he wasn't the only reason I signed. I'm not going to say that, because obviously we're 11th. That wasn't the reason I signed, because we're 11th. The reason I signed was that there was a number of reasons. And yeah, Murph was one of them. Obviously, you factor that in, who's going to be there. I love the bloke. He's a legend. He understands me as a person. I like his energy. Yeah, he was a factor in why I re-signed.
Obviously now, I mean, in the last 12 months you've been a part of a World Cup. You've become a guy most people expect to see when national squads are picked. What's your own individual goals over the next short term for you? I mean, if it's Tigers or not, what's the goal?
Short term, I just want to enjoy myself. I think a lot of people spend too much time looking in the mirror and sort of reflecting on themselves and thinking, what could I do here, what could I do there? Reflection's key, of course it is, but one thing that my old man always reminds me of is as long as you wake up tomorrow, it's a good day, as deep as that is. If I got my family and my friends, I'm happy. So that's all that keeps me ticking. I'm not really looking too far ahead. Minute by minute, as Coley says. That's how I'll take it. I just when it comes, just let it unfold.
How influential was sticking around with Dan Colby? I know how much of he's a mentor of yours in different ways. How influential was that, being able to stick with Coley and remain a teammate of his? Yeah,
when Coley re-signed, I think it was last year, I was happy to hear that, of course. He's a great player. You don't get 90 odd caps for your country being a bad player. So that was one good thing, but although we're years apart and Coley's really old, we sit near each other in the changing room, and I actually get on quite well with him now. I'd say we probably didn't really see eye to eye when I first come to the club. I'm very different to what he's used to hanging about with. But he's a very funny bloke, and I get on quite well with Coley. So yeah, he was a big factor in me re-signing too. I won't ever tell him that to his face. He's a very humble bloke, and it won't go to his head, although his head's massive.
It's very big.
Biggest head in the team.
Yeah, his hazards. Finally, Welford Road is obviously a special place for anyone who's played there. Does that play a part that remains your home, and the fans who at times can be challenging fans, but you want challenging fans, don't you? You don't want the rosy-eyed all the time.
Look, you're going to get what we call rugby noodles everywhere you go. Yeah. Like, they'll be them at every club. Like Wellesley, yeah. But the fans are special at Welford Road, and although they bag us sometimes and throw their toys out the car, that's only because they care. Yeah. You know, I'd be the same if I supported a team that was used to winning so much and doing so well, and they started to do poorly for whatever reason. But I always try to sort of reassure them via social media that there's plans in place and we're trying to get back on track. Not a lot of them believe me. But look, I can see where this club's going. I know where it's going to end up, and that's all that matters to me.